Howdy ho, chickadees. It's Mischief Monday, and boy, did we have a lot happen today. However, what we are going to talk about tonight is Suzanne Clark Simpson. I have been asked by several people to check into her case, see if we could cover something on it. And so that is exactly what we're going to do tonight. First off, though, I want to say thank you for all of the replay crew that comes on and watches when they can't watch live. And hello to all of my regulars, KS Granny, and Kelly, Melissa, Coffee Nut. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, as you do so many times in the past. And there's Sherry D. Thank you so much for your donation. I appreciate it. And so, couple things. I feel like there's a lot to cover in this case. And so I'm fairly certain I have enough time, but I just want to warn all of you, it's got some, at least as I was researching this case, it looked like it had tentacles to me. It might have some Murdoch-ish tentacles. I'm not positive, but we're going to dig into this. We're going to learn all about what has happened to Suzanne and who is being held responsible right now and all the good stuff. And I'm going to try to remember the trial dates or pre-trial hearings because it's in here somewhere. So we will get to all of it tonight. Yes. Case with so much more than you actually know. Yes, I think there is. I don't think we know everything, but let's get into it. All right. First off, we're going to do a little background, get a little summary about what has actually happened. So I am still battling asthma, all. I'm so sorry. So I'll be hacking through tonight, but we'll do just fine. So Texas attorneys sift through evidence as husband's case rocks affluent neighborhood. Brad Simpson, who is charged in Suzanne's murder, is scheduled to appear in court March 12th for a status hearing. Now, this was earlier this year. More than 5 months after Texas real estate agent Suzanne Simpson vanished in a wealthy area of San Antonio, attorneys are still sorting out evidence as her husband faces a murder case and her body has not been found. Simpson, a 51-year-old mother of 4, went missing October 6th, 2024, after reportedly fighting with her husband of 22 years in front of their house in Olmus Park in the San Antonio area. Authorities believe Brad Simpson intentionally and knowingly caused the death of Suzanne on or about Sunday, October 6th. Brad Simpson is charged with murder, tampering with evidence, aggravated assault, and prohibited weapons possession in his wife's disappearance, and suspected death, and is scheduled to appear in court Wednesday for a status hearing after it was delayed in February. Both prosecutors and Simpson's defense attorney said during a February 12th hearing they would need more time to go through discovery in the case. That sounds familiar. Prosecutors were still sifting through data and expecting more evidence from the Texas Rangers, according to the San Antonio report. Here is a photograph of the lovely Suzanne and the man she was married to at the time of her death. So don't have a lot good to say about old Bradley baby there. On October 6th, the night of the fight and Suzanne's disappearance, the Simpsons and their 5-year-old daughter attended a party at the Argyle Club, an exclusive ritzy club in Alamo Heights. Bystanders witnessed the couple having a verbal altercation while at the party, according to an arrest affidavit. Around 8:30 p.m., Suzanne Simpson and her daughter left the party and went to the H-E-B grocery store in San Antonio from 8:40 p.m. to 8:51 p.m., according to surveillance footage obtained by police. They arrived at their house soon after. Just a moment. Later that evening, Suzanne phoned a family friend to say she was stopping by. She also called her mother to tell her Brad assaulted her, injuring her arm, back, and neck, according to court records. She arrived at the family friend's house at 9:25 p.m. Around 10 p.m., the family friend's neighbor reported seeing Brad and Suzanne arguing loudly and physically, struggling in front of his house. This is a photograph of the Argyle. That's where she was last seen. The neighbor observed Suzanne attempting to get away from Mr. Simpson's grasp as he tried to pull her downwards. The neighbor also observed Brad chasing after his wife and trying to grab her, according to documents. The neighbor later heard screams coming from the wooded area across from his home. About 1 hour after witnessing Suzanne and Brad Simpson fighting in front of his home, the neighbor saw Brad's truck leave the area and then return about an hour later. There's the slimy man there. Anyway, everyone is presumed innocent until proven guilty, but I can have opinions, and I do. The next morning, on October 7th, surveillance footage from a San Antonio H-E-B grocery store captured Brad in his truck, which contained a large ice chest. Later that morning, stay hydrated, y'all. Later that morning, he bought food at a drive-thru in Kendall County, Texas, and camera footage captured 3 white trash bags, a heavy-duty trash can, an ice chest, and a large bulky item wrapped and secured in a blue tarp that was held down by a firewood rack in the back of Brad's truck. It seems a bit odd in a relatively suburban area. Shortly after the drive-thru, Brad was allegedly seen purchasing 2 bags of cement, a construction bucket, a box of heavy-duty trash bags, Clorox disinfectant spray, and excuse me, insect repellent with cash at a nearby Home Depot. Police learned through cell phone data, surveillance footage, and a Home Depot receipt. And in case you didn't know what a Home Depot looked like, and the particular one in question, in this case, here's a picture of it. Prior to his purchase, Brad asked an unknown male in the parking lot for directions to the nearest dump in Bernie, I think is how you say that. It could be Bourne. I don't know. I'm not from these parts. His cell phone was apparently turned off at the time. At a gas station that same morning, surveillance footage captured Brad's truck, which was missing the white trash bags, but the blue tarp, firewood rack, and trash can were still present. There's the gas station in question. After picking up his daughter from school in the afternoon, Brad was spotted on another surveillance camera, washing and cleaning the driver front side and the rear left passenger side of his truck at a car wash back in San Antonio. Suzanne's friend reported her missing the evening of October 7th when police contacted Brad about his wife's disappearance. He allegedly told them he had not seen her since October 6th around 11 p.m. Well, hey, that might have been the first thing he actually said truthful to him, because I think that's probably accurate. Well, he saw her after that. She just wasn't alive or breathing. Okay. This is a photograph of their home at the time of this incident. I'm going to tell you, I have a fixation with needing to know locations of crimes and everything about it. So we're going to go inside the home, in the backyard. We're going to check it all out because that's one of the things I always do. I have to know like what it looked like inside there. So never fear, we'll get to that. On October 8th, Brad exchanged text messages with his longtime friend and business partner James Val Cotter, who is also charged in the case. I think that might be where there could be a tentacle. Not sure, but we'll get into it. And the message said, if you're in Bandera, can you haul ass to meet me at your house? Simpson allegedly texted Cotter, I don't have much time. And apparently that's where they were. In a later text to Brad, Cotter wrote, get over here. I won't tell anyone, and you're my brother. Cotter was charged with tampering with evidence with the intent to impair an investigation and possession of prohibited weapons in Suzanne's disappearance. He posted bond in November 2024. And there's Mr. Cotter there. Lovely man. Authorities arrested Brad October 9th, 2024, and Cotter on October 21st, 2024. On October 9th, Texas Rangers execute a search warrant on Brad's property in Bandera County, where they found a ground-level burn site with a burnt laptop and multiple cellular devices. None of this is suspicious whatsoever. It's all good. Brad, you're pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. Good job. They also searched his truck and identified stains that tested presumptively positive for blood, which were tested and determined to be Brad's blood. In December, Bexar County Criminal District Attorney Joe Gonzalez announced via press release that Brad had concealed a reciprocating saw 2 days after Suzanne's disappearance, and authorities informed family members that Suzanne's DNA had been identified on the saw. And Coffee Nut, for real, can you not find a flippin' divorce attorney? Anywho, Brad remains in Bexar County's jail with bonds totaling $3 million and a federal hold by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives for the weapons charge. His attorney could not be reached for comment. So that is giving you kind of the initial synopsis of what the case is about, what we're going to be covering. And I'm sorry, Free Kelsey. I don't know why either. I'm sorry. I knew I had a lot to cover, so I wanted to make sure I started right on time. On to the next segment here. I am very surprised now that I'm looking into this case a little bit more. It is surprising to me that it hasn't had more national outreach or more national attention, because it is pretty unique in a lot of ways, and I think you'll see that as we dig into it further. Little unusual. You probably need me to get the actual document there. How about that? Hydrate yourselves, everybody. Okay. By the way, for the people who reached out to me and asked me to look into this case, I surely hope I do it justice tonight. I hate it. I would hate for someone to ask me to look into something and then I do, and I'm nowhere close to getting all of the information. So I hope I do it justice. Okay. 1 year later, Suzanne Clark Simpson is still missing. Her husband is accused of murder. We kind of know what happened here. I'm going to scroll down to some information that we hadn't known about or seen. Okay, at 9:57 p.m., following the phone call that she had with Brad, she failed to pick up her 5-year-old from school. Her friends gathered to discuss her disappearance. A friend of Suzanne called Brad with her concerns. When she learned Brad had not called the police about Suzanne, she informed him that she would be filing a missing persons report herself. That's always a great way to start. You're the spouse and you don't file a missing persons. Got it. Okay. At 9:57 p.m., following that phone call, the first missing persons report was filed by Suzanne's friend. 14 minutes later, at 10:11 p.m., Brad Simpson left a voicemail for the Olmus Park police chief reporting his wife as missing. 2 days later, on October 9th, Simpson was arrested in Kendall County on charges of assault, family violence, and unlawful restraint. Then it goes on to say that he's still in custody. Public records were unsealed by a judge on November 12th. Mind you, this is all last year. Well, hello, Christine Life by the Sea. Happy Monday to you as well. The night of her disappearance was a Sunday night, October 6th. Suzanne and her 5-year-old daughter left the Argyle at approximately 8:30 p.m. and headed to the HEB. We've kind of gone over this, so I'm going to go down to some of the newer information. Aha. At 9:16, she called her mother to report that she'd been assaulted by her husband, causing her pain in her arm, back, and neck. At that same time, Suzanne's cellular service was suspended at the request of the account's subscriber. Records indicated that Brad Simpson accessed the AT&T application at the same time the request to suspend her phone was made. That is what you call circumstantial evidence. There's a lot of it in this case. The affidavit shows that Suzanne arrived at her friend's home at 9:25 p.m. While details of her return home have not been revealed, shortly after 10 p.m., a neighbor witnessed Brad and Suzanne in a physical struggle. Suzanne would slip away and run westward, with Brad chasing her as they exited their yard. We're going to get into, I like pictures, so we're going to get into an aerial view so you all can see kind of what the land looks like and get an idea, in addition to the house and the backyard and all that jazz. Of course, the witness heard screams. At 11:09, Simpson began shutting his phone on and off in cycles, which prevented data collection. This shut-off cycle, FBI forensic examiners say, is referred to as lockdown mode and is typically done by a person who wants to avoid detection. More circumstantial evidence. The following days, Brad Simpson would drop their daughter off at school the next day. When Suzanne did not show to pick up her child as she normally did, her friends became concerned, and that's when the report was made. All of this is what appears that we have already gone over. During the investigation, an officer spoke with a school counselor at Howard Early Childhood Center who relayed that the child stated that on Sunday evening at home, her dad had pushed her mother against the wall and hit her in the face, hurting her mother's elbow. She said her father turned her mother's phone off because they were fighting. Suzanne Simpson's 20-year-old daughter would subsequently provide the last known ping on the Find My app, placing her mother's phone at the Simpson residence at 10:22 p.m. on Sunday night, over an hour after she left HEB. Do neighbors have them on porch camera when she was running away from him? I don't believe, based on the neighborhood, we'll look at the photographs. I don't know that that would actually help if they did have that. You'll see what I'm talking about when we get a little deeper into this and look at some of the photographs. Over the following week, Texas Rangers obtained and reviewed location data from Brad Simpson's phone and truck alongside surveillance footage tracing the movement of his truck on the days after Suzanne Simpson's disappearance. And then, of course, the ice chest in his cargo bed. They talk about that again, dropping the daughter off. Footage of him at a Whataburger. In Kendall County, showed his truck with 3 white trash bags. We've read about that already. The Texas Rangers used geolocation data to place him at or near Home Depot, also in Kendall County. And there's footage of him speaking to that other man in that surveillance footage as well. In the store, of course, he bought the what do I want to call it? The murder conceal a body kit, 2 bags of Quikrete cement, an orange construction bucket with a lid, a box of 32 count heavy duty trash bags, 1 30-ounce spit that out there, Ms. Demeanor, Clorox disinfectant spray, and insect repellent with cash. And then, of course, he started doing the lockdown mode when he left Home Depot. Then he was seen at the gas station. Continued with the cell phone on and off. And then at 4:07 p.m., this is the next day, I want to say, he goes to the bubble bath. And which is a car wash, where he was observed on camera cleaning the driver front side and rear left passenger side of the vehicle, where police would later find dried cement splashes. Oh, yeah, I know, Christine. They're probably not paying attention to me. And I'm not saying to do that. We're talking about an actual case. On October 8th, Texas Rangers obtained an arrest warrant. We already went over that. He didn't appear surprised at the time of his arrest, nor did he question why he was being arrested. Well, that's telling. Oh, and Kelly is telling us the Whataburger is 36 miles away from their home in Olmus Park. That's far away up the highway. I am wondering, because I know the property, there was a ranch that they owned in Banderas, and I'm wondering if that is along the way. I'm not familiar with those parts. So after the arrest, search warrant. I think we've gone over most of this. Oh, this is new. Search warrants were obtained for call detail records for both Brad and Suzanne's cellular services and the phones Simpson had on him at the time of his arrest. FBI and Texas Department of Public Safety analysts would find 2 notes in his device titled "This Next Life" and "Last Will and Testament." Both notes were created on October 8th. Y'all, that's after she disappeared. In them, he apologized for physically assaulting Suzanne in August of 2023 and again on the night of her disappearance. We'll get to the 2023 business too. The same day they executed the search warrant where they found the blood in the truck, they also interviewed the business associate, James Cotter. And that's when they found the text messages between the two of them. And we talked about those before as well. I'm going to go through an entire timeline. I believe that's the next thing we're going to go over. So that's why I'm not getting too caught up in the details of the timing, because we're actually going to go step by step. So it becomes abundantly clear once you see the timeline. And yes, KS Granny, why would you need a last will and testament? Was he planning to unalive himself? They got to him too quick? I don't know. On October 21st, investigators executed a search at Cotter's home where they discovered an AK-47 rifle hidden behind a wall-mounted television in his bedroom. He is accused of hiding the AK-47 for Brad 2 days after Suzanne disappeared. More circumstantial evidence. Cotter was arrested and charged with tampering with evidence in possession of a prohibited weapon. He posted bond on November 8th. My birthday, he posted bond. On October 23rd, the Rangers interviewed Suzanne's personal banker, who disclosed that Brad would regularly take away Suzanne's phone. The banker told Rangers that Suzanne advised her in August of 2024 that if she went missing, to look for her in a lake. Why would you ever have to have that kind of conversation? Y'all, why would you have to tell people where to look for your corpse? Oh boy. It makes me sad that so many, mostly women, but I know this happens with men as well, that feel like they can't get out of the situation they're in. It's really sad. And the article that I'm reading from, oh, good grief. I think this is from Fox News, if I'm not mistaken. After the murder charge, of course, he was in custody in the Bexar County Jail. The grand jury indicted him on 4 counts. He's been held ever since. They tried to weaken the charges because they said it was too vague. Y'all, too vague. Lots of piling of circumstantial evidence. The state countered that the evidence, surveillance footage, digital records, and witness testimony established enough for the case to move forward. I agree. And the judge denied the defense's motion to quash the indictment. Good try. 2 months later, in a June hearing, Perez ordered prosecutors to finish turning over all discovery by August 1st. And I believe we will see that has been done. Not at this time, but current day, it has been done. technical problems formatting thousands of files. So yeah, they wanted to drag feet on it. And yeah, didn't happen. At a September 8th hearing, Perez noted that discovery still wasn't fully complete and that file formatting remained an issue. He extended the deadline to September 22nd. In the same hearing, Perez modified Simpson's no contact order to allow limited conversations with his son Rowan about parenting issues. And then, of course, they've subpoenaed therapy records from the two youngest children. And James Cotter, I think he is on house arrest with an ankle monitor, or was at the writing of this particular article. Pretrial hearings, there it is. January 20th, 26, and jury selection is going to begin February 13th. Selfishly, I do want this to delay just a touch because Corey Richens is in February. I can't be covering two cases at once. Come on, just one little delay. Send me into March. I'm good. Selfishly. They did sell the Olmos Park home, which is pretty fancy. Pretty nice home. We're going to look at it. And the money was put into a trust for all of the children. There now, and this is what grabbed my attention that made me think there might be tentacles. Prosecutors pressed forward with another round of subpoenas in the final days of September. On September 26th, they requested financial records from Brad Simpson's Chase and Bank of America accounts, along with card transactions tied to Suzanne's Bank of America, TD Bank, and UBS accounts. Then, on September 29th, prosecutors subpoenaed Suzanne's Bank of America records dating back to June 1st, 2024. The latest round of subpoenas came on September 30th as the state is seeking more records from James Cotter's Chase Bank account and Suzanne's Bank of America account, again, both noted as unserved at the time of reporting. So shall we take a peek at the house first before we look at the timeline, or do we want to look at the timeline first? Y'all tell me what you want to do. Let's see. All right. House it is. So, this is like a rabbit hole thing that I do with every case I follow. So if you are going to follow me, this is something I'm going to do. I have looked all through the Ruby Franke and Hildebrand house in Utah. If I can get my hands on where things happened, I'm in. So let's look at the house then, since that's what y'all want to do. That'll be our thing here. Let's look at this beautiful home. Y'all, look at that. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger. Well, not there. Wrong screen. All right. There, I think that's a little better. Okay. Bear with me just a moment. Oh, for heaven's sake, Janet. Okay. So here is the front of the home. Beautiful home. Oh, hey, Ava. How are you? And this is the back of the home. Beautiful, good size pool and living room. And yes, I thought it looked like a castle too, Christine. Cute little accent tiles. Yes, pool is worth a fortune. Trust me, I know too. Master or primary, I guess is what I'm supposed to say. Some of the home is a little dated, but it's still a beautiful home. Absolutely gorgeous. So what they did for a living, we're going to get into his. She was a real estate agent. So, and it appears she was the one that was putting this in, keeping them in this style. I know. That's why I said some of it is a little dated. Yes, the kitchen is so 1985. Dining room. And you know, they had 4 children, so it kind of needed to be a big home. Look at those beautiful windows to the backyard. Just gorgeous. I love that. And then this glorious room. Oh my goodness gracious. And there's the 85 kitchen. This right here, this is a lot of money. This is a very high-end pool. And there's the hot tub. Beautiful backyard. That's the front door. All right. So we have a little reference now. I would not want to pay for the electricity. You're absolutely right, Kelly. Well, you would have to not have it heated. Good grief. Well, I guess you still have to have the filters run, though. Yeah, it's a big pool. And I don't, Maylin, I don't want to clean that house. I don't even clean my own house. I'm too busy. I got stuff to do. I can't be cleaning a house. Okay. Now you all know what the house looks like. I am going to go ahead and share with you the satellite imagery so that you can get an idea, because this neighbor keeps talking about this wooded area. And I needed to have some reference and understand what the heck is he talking about, because it didn't make any sense to me until I looked at the satellite photograph. And let me tell you, it is a clarifying picture once you see this. Well, I got to hit the right button. So it is not showing right here. So here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but this road right here goes almost directly into their home. This is their home right here. So the woods across the street that they're referring to is this right here. And you can't tell until I expand it, and I will expand it here in just a moment. Then you're going to see just how enormous this wooded area is. Look at the size of that, y'all. That's big, and I'm not even showing you all of it. Look at that. So that is where I'm going to see if I can get this enlarged a lot for us. There we go. Okay. So this is the Simpson home right here, and there's the woods right there. So that's what the neighbor was talking about, that initially she ran to the west of the home. So she ran to this wooded area initially, and then he must not have been paying attention, and she ended up running across the street, and that's where he heard the screams come from. Does that give a little better reference for everyone? And on to the timeline. Are we ready for the timeline? Just as soon as I can get it pulled up here, we will do timeline business. The neighbor did not call 911, KS Granny. And I think they have a lot of regret in reference to that decision. But I think they were trying to be respectful, and that's why they didn't call 911. So we're going to start all the way back in August of 2023. Brad Simpson physically assaulting Suzanne. Suzanne Simpson spoke to her banker at Frost Bank and told her she was being physically abused by Brad. How odd that you would tell your banker that, you know. People sit down in those chairs sometimes and it becomes like, you know, therapy. And then a month later, in September, during a domestic violence incident, Brad Simpson took Suzanne's cell phone and drove away. Later, he texted a friend, Elizabeth Taylor Thomas, saying, "I still feel bad about tonight. I should never have grabbed her phone and driven off, but she was so protective of it. I still feel bad about tonight. I never should have grabbed her phone and drove off, but she was so protective of it. My dumb ass didn't know her passcode, so I got locked out and had to bring it back. I really have no interest in looking through her phone or anybody else's. These devices are the devil." And Kelly, I wonder if it was, how do I put money away to leave? Very possibly. I don't know if she would have actually acted on that. Retired banker, you hear everything. All of it. Mention it all. Continuing. So then we go all the way to from September of 23 to October 24. And then this, of course, is when she was seen at the Argyle, and they left the Argyle. And I have a still photograph that I can get to that shows her leaving the Argyle. 8:30 is when they left the Argyle. 8:40, they were at the HEB. 8:51, they left the HEB, and then they arrived home sometime shortly after that. I don't know how close the HEB is to their home. But it does look like their home was on kind of a busy thoroughfare, so it's possible that it wasn't very far. Suzanne Simpson at 9:15 called a family friend to say she was coming over. At 9:16, she called her mother to say that Brad had assaulted her. Brad had injured her arm and her back. And at that time, that's when Suzanne's cell phone was suspended. Interesting timing on that. At 9:24, she ended the call with her mother. At 9:25, she arrived at the friend's house. An hour goes by, 10:22, the Find My Phone app shows the last location of her phone as the residence that we just looked at. At 11 o'clock, that's when the neighbor witnessed Suzanne in a physical altercation with her husband. Outside their home, he was seen restraining her and attempting to prevent her from leaving. Then both were last seen heading into a nearby wooded area. We know what that wooded area looks like. The neighbor reported hearing screams shortly after, but did not call 911. Doggone it. At 11:09, Brad Simpson turned his cell phone off. So there wasn't a whole lot of time in between. I mean, less than 15 minutes. And then we go to October 7th, 12 o'clock a.m. This is not quite an hour later. The neighbors saw Brad start his black pickup truck and leave the house. The neighbor told authorities he saw him return about an hour later. At 12:33 a.m., that's when he was at the HEB store. And then nothing until 7:15 a.m., so almost 7 full hours later, Suzanne's cell phone pinged at a business parking lot in the 4000 block of McAuliffe Avenue, about a half a mile from her home, but has been inactive since. That's an interesting tidbit. Half a mile from her home, never to have any communication again or activity again. At 7:53 a.m., Brad drops the youngest off at school. That's when the trash bags and all of that are seen. At 9:12 a.m., he's seen at the Whataburger that Kelly told us is 30-some miles from the home, with all the ice chest and all of the other business in the vehicle. Then, of course, 41 minutes later, he goes to the Home Depot and purchases the hide-a-body kit. At 10:07, he left the Home Depot, turns his phone off again. And at 10:30, that's when he's seen leaving the waste site in Bernie. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm going to say Bernie, like weekend at. At 11:15, he goes to the gas station in Bernie and buys jugs of water, and he's seen on surveillance footage there. However, he's changed his footwear and he's in cowboy boots now. He was in sandals, but now he's in cowboy boots. His truck captured in median Bandera County for approximately 13 minutes prior to heading eastbound. 1:41 p.m., a license plate reader captures Brad's truck returning to Bernie, Kendall County. The blue tarp that was previously visible is now gone, and the firewood rack appears to have been repositioned. Well, isn't that a little coinky-dinky? Nice long drive, and all of a sudden your stuff's moved in the back of your truck. Oh, thank you, Kelly. I appreciate it. I am saying it right. Good. I'll stick with it. At 3:00, Brad received a call notifying him that no one picked up their child from school. Well, duh. You can't be too shocked about that. These men. Suzanne typically picks up their child from school. At 3:27, all of a sudden the truck bed is cleared of the blue tarp and the metal firewood rack. And 3 minutes later, he arrives at his child's school. Still has the heavy-duty trash can and ice chest in the back, though. A little more than 30 minutes later, at 4:07, he goes to the bubble bath car wash. And surveillance shows dried cement splashes near the rear passenger compartment and truck bed. Only the ice chest remains and a 30-ounce Clorox bottle located within the rear passenger compartment of the vehicle. At 9:57, Brad's wife is reported missing by a friend, not by him. Oh, no. At 10:11 p.m., Simpson called Almost Park police and left a voicemail claiming he hadn't seen his wife all day. Yeah, he was real concerned, wasn't he? Lots of phone calls, lots of worry. The following day is when the text messages start. So 2 days, the incident happened on October 6th. So this is October 8th that the text messages with the business partners start. They received a copy of the phone conversation. He states that he saw his wife sleeping in another room. He's just flying. That's all that's going on. And it doesn't give a time on this, but it would have been the next day. This is when he says, if you're to his business associate, if you're in Bandera, can you haul ass and meet me at your house? I don't have much time, is what Mr. Cotter responds. And Brad says, okay, make sure to leave all that poopy in the pump house, especially that gun. Sorry for the urgency, but you're all I got, especially now. Social media is destroying me. And then, of course, this same day is when the child alerted the personnel at school that her parents had been fighting and that her dad had assaulted her mom and her mother had bruises. Yeah, don't we wonder what that refers to? Social media is destroying me. This would have been very, very quickly after she was missing. So I don't know why I'd be worried about social media, to be honest, but whatever. It's like a little Scott Peterson-ish for me. Very concerned what the appearances are. And I have to tell you all, this case screams Fotis Doulos to me. This so much reminds me of, oh my gosh, why can't I think of her name? I can see her beautiful face. I do this every time. Troconis was the girlfriend, Michelle Troconis. And I can't think of the wife's name that was married to Fotis Doulos. And all of they went through the city with garbage bags, dropping them in different trash cans, all on surveillance in the city. That's kind of what this reminds me of. Very, very similar case. Okay. At 9:50 on the 8th is when the police questioned the Simpsons' neighbor. That's when he told them about seeing the argument, her running away. The neighbor, concerned, grabbed a flashlight to investigate, but soon heard two to three screams coming from the woods, prompting him to return inside. That's strange. I wonder why. Was he maybe afraid himself? Which I get that. I would be afraid. I wouldn't want to go hustling into, no. And on the 9th, they execute search warrants and they obtain an arrest warrant for him. Now, I'm probably going to take us to, this is, I would say, the crux of, that's the crux of the timeline. So what I'm going to do is take us from this timeline. I want to show you the surveillance photograph. Bear with me just a moment. I've got it because it's in the same thing. I didn't have it queued up like I've had so many other things. Bear with me, everybody. I promise I will get the information. Okay, first off, there we go. Because there is a pretty clear photograph of her. And I also wanted to pull up the arrest affidavit. Oh, I'm wondering if I saw this on a different website. Well, let's pull up the criminal complaint. We can definitely do that. That's not right. Let's get the right screen. You probably would like that, huh? Thank you, KS Granny. I shall. Let me get the screen sharing business happening here. Okay. So, I wanted to kind of scoot down. I'm going to try to make this a little bit bigger for us. Oh my goodness. Janet. Helps if you're in the right screen to do that, you know? Okay. And now I made it too big. Okay. This is basically giving the rundown of what happened and how they got the actual arrest warrant. Does state in here that that Suzanne was reported missing on October 7th, and she was reported missing by her husband. Well, from the residence she shared with her husband. They executed a search warrant on October 10th. And in the midst of that search warrant, they managed to locate a firearm. And there is a picture of the firearm located in the criminal charge. And that kind of gives you the rundown of, a synopsis. I would say is probably the best way to put that. So now we're going to head to another document, or I should say an article. Let me see if I can find that surveillance. Bear with me. I love it when my brain finally kicks into gear because I've got it. All right, let's see. There she is. That is likely the last or one of the last photographs of Suzanne. This would have been in front of the Argyle, leaving to head to the HEB, and then she ended up heading home. So I did manage to find it. I love it when it works. And now we're going to go to a different article. This is much, much more recent, this article. And it's got some good tidbits, y'all. All right. Prosecutors diving into Suzanne Simpson family finances ahead of murder trial. Prosecutors want proof Suzanne Simpson's sister flew to Asia and back in the weeks surrounding her sister's disappearance. The Olmos Park husband accused of killing his wife, a luxury real estate dealer and mother of 4, is nearing his day in court when a jury of his Bexar County peers will weigh in his guilt or innocence. But as prosecutors look to sway that verdict against him, they're diving deep into the family's finances, according to court records. But they're also looking at the international flight history of Suzanne Simpson's sister. Business wheeling and dealing has been the center of the case of Suzanne Simpson, the very mother who has been missing since October of 2024. Brad Simpson's business partner, James Valley Cotter, is facing felony charges himself after investigators say he helped the alleged killer hide a gun. Before a gag order issued by the presiding judge silenced those close to the family, relatives painted a clear picture of Brad Simpson's struggling business ventures and suggested that Suzanne Simpson had become the family's primary breadwinner. Brad Simpson's own family had cut business ties, and he and Cotter have faced civil suits over suspicious business dealings. Now, Bexar County prosecutors are digging deeper into the family finances. Suzanne Simpson was last seen being restrained by her husband outside their pricey home in Olmos Park on October 6, 2024. According to investigators, after a public fight at a swanky Alamo Heights private club, that would be the Argyle, a neighbor reportedly heard Suzanne scream after wandering off toward a wooded area, and nobody has reported seeing her since. Brad Simpson's first arrest came on domestic violence charges within days of his wife's disappearance. It wasn't until weeks later that he was formally charged with her murder after investigators uncovered a pattern of suspicious behavior. Among them, a trip to a Bernie area dump roughly 30 miles north of San Antonio to dispose of a large object concealed beneath a tarp. Hey guys, what do you think that Whataburger that he stopped at was probably on his way to the dump? I'm just kind of doing some math, and 1 and 1 is coming to 2 for me. In the weeks after Brad Simpson's murder trial was formally set for February, the Bexar County Criminal District Attorney's Office filed several subpoenas for private records, all pertaining to both the Simpson family finances and Brad's accounts with Cotter. Hello, disguised analyst. Thanks for popping in. And prosecutors want all records related to both Brad and Suzanne Simpson held by Freedom Life Insurance Company of America, including applications for insurance, policy and loan records, and any payment records. Investigators also want to take a closer look at both parents' bank accounts at Wells Fargo, including all deposits and withdrawals, safe deposit box records, wires, investment accounts, and credit card records. They even want to see every time someone logged into the accounts online. When I read this earlier, this is the part that piqued my interest the most. I'm a mad, like, American greed, white collar crime follower. I'm fascinated by it. That's part of the reason I dug so deeply into the Murdaugh case, because I had a little bit of everything for me. And this section right here about wanting to see everything kind of piqued my interest, and that's why I think there may be some tentacles that we're unaware of at this point. Continuing on, and yes, Kelly, Whataburger, it is so good. Why did he have to go and ruin it? So rude. Nearly identical subpoenas were filed with Bank of America. Plus, investigators want to see all of Suzanne Simpson's financial records for cards issued by Bank of America, TD Bank, and UBS Bank. And now we get into some good stuff. When it comes to Cotter, prosecutors want a closer look at his financial records over at JP Morgan Chase. And they want account records from TradeStation and Morgan Chase Bank for the Cotter 6 Mallory Trust. In digging through Bexar County land records, it seems the Cotter 6 Mallory Trust was created as a holding for a home in the luxurious The Dominion neighborhood on the north side of San Antonio. It seems it was created by James F. Cotter, the accused business partner's father, who was a well-known real estate tycoon around San Antonio. The address the trust held was 6 Mallory Lane, and that address was sold off in 2019. Y'all know we're gonna go look at the house. Oh yeah, we're gonna do that next. The most unexpected among the wave of subpoenas filed by those hoping to prove Brad Simpson's guilt, a demand to U.S. Customs and Border Protection for proof that Suzanne Simpson's sister, Teresa Lynn Clark, flew from Austin to Phuket International Airport on September 28, 2024, and flew from Hong Kong International Airport to LAX on October 8, 2024. Clark has been quite vocal with media and online about her feelings in the case, even being arrested in October and accused of harassing Brad Simpson's family. She's facing 3 misdemeanor harassment charges. I haven't gone down that rabbit hole yet, but I'm gonna. Cotter was arrested roughly 2 weeks after Suzanne Simpson went missing, but he bailed out by November 8th. He'd been under strict bond conditions since, including GPS monitoring, but a judge recently allowed him to roam freely without tracking. So, that's why I think there might be some tentacles when we start looking at the business partner and possible crazy business dealings. I think it may open the door to the possibility of other issues. So I'm definitely going to be following for that. But let's take a look at this 6 Mallory Lane house. How about that? Let me get it all going because y'all are going to die when you see this house. I'm telling you. Yowzer. Okay. Let's go. Oh, there it is. That's pretty fancy. Yes, Kelly. I think this is much bigger than what meets the eye, and you can start to read some of the breadcrumbs. And I don't know that I'm about to blow this wide open. I just am very curious and anxious to see how this is going to unfold. It has some markers that look very familiar to me. So this is 6 Mallory Lane. It's pretty fancy. I can tell you all, you're not going to see any dated rooms in this house. It is unbelievable. Yes, the door, Kelly. Yeah. Yeah, it's because it looks like it's custom made and it looks like it's solid wood also. Yeah. $10,000 door easily. Look at the arches and the coffered ceiling. Pretty amazing, huh? Kind of makes you wonder where the money came from. I know I'm wondering where the money came from. I'm sure that old Daddy Tycoon set him up well, but this is pretty fancy. It's way fancy. No, Kelly, no 1985 kitchen here. I will say I was a little disappointed in the bathroom. I'm not going to lie. I was like, well, yeah. I feel like my bathroom's nicer than that one. And I don't have the fanciest one, but pretty nice digs, huh? I mean, if I had to, stumble through life in some ramshackle home like this, I suppose I could. No pool. That would be a problem for me. I gotta have a pool. But it is beautiful. I mean, unbelievably beautiful. And there you have it, folks. So how are we feeling about this case? I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. I will definitely be paying attention. Anytime we can cover a case and I can get the locations and the homes and photographs of the inside of the homes. I was so excited not too long ago that the Moselle, you can actually see a lot of interior photographs of Moselle, which is where the Murdochs lived in Hampton County or in Islandton, South Carolina, I guess. But yeah, you can actually see inside now. And I don't know if anyone is watching the movie on Hulu, but I have to tell you, after seeing the interior of the actual Moselle property, they nailed it in the movie. Really nailed it. And yes, KS Granny, I think there's more too. We will likely have another live stream on this particular case in the future. I'm kind of leaning toward doing Wine and Crime Wednesday this week on the Abigail Werner case. I don't know if you all have been following it. There was a doctor on the witness stand testifying today that I found outrageous. And I feel like I need to bring attention to it. If you don't know the case, it is the teacher that was shot by the 6-year-old student. Yeah. Yeah. That's what the case is. It's a civil case, but there's a lot of meat on the bone because we've got some information about the teacher. We've got some information about the administrator. So I think there's a good possibility that I'll do that on Wednesday. Melissa, who is your friend? Do tell. Tell us all. Tell us everything. Yes, I feel like everything that I'm watching on there, because I was so immersed in that case, much like the Karen Reed case, I feel like I was immersed in that one as well. That seeing it come to life the way it has, oh my goodness, y'all. I'm just like, wow, this is something else. And yes, that's what's going to get them, is the admins didn't take any action. So that's what I think I'm going to do on Wednesday. Yes, spill the beans, Melissa. Don't be all shy now. Good grief. Oh. Yes. Jason is your friend? Shut the front door. Okay, Melissa, you need to give me more information than this. I am absolutely fascinated. He's phenomenal. He is absolutely phenomenal. So if Jason is your friend, oh my word, please tell him how much I adore his acting. Yeah, who's playing Cousin Eddie? Hasn't come up yet. I don't think I've seen Cousin Eddie yet. If you haven't been watching it, you need to. Okay, so Wednesday, Wine and Crime Wednesday, we're going to be talking Abigail Werner. There's a lot to unpack there, much like this one. And don't forget, next week, starting at 8 o'clock Central Time, 8 a.m. Central Time on Monday, November 10th, I'm going to start the replay of the Raoul Valley trial. So make sure you have notifications on. I'll make sure that it notifies on X as well as YouTube, so that you can follow along with me. Raoul has a hearing on the 17th. So we'll be all caught up to speed with the 4 days worth of trial coverage that I'm doing next week. So come hang out with me, pop in and out. It's going to be all day. I will definitely take a lunch break for about 30 minutes, and then we'll get right back at it in the afternoon of each day. But we'll start at 8 a.m. Central Time. I know a lot of people are Eastern Time, so that'll be even later for you. And I hope that you'll come hang out with me and we can learn about Raoul's case and try to sort through all the eyewitness testimony. It's a lot. So, with all of that, again, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I know you have a lot of choices, and I'm always appreciative when you decide to hang out with me for an hour and a half or so. And I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday for Wine and Crime Wednesday. In the meantime, remember, it doesn't cost a penny to be kind to someone, so find someone to do something nice for today if you haven't already. And always, always remember